Studying God did not heal him. Becoming God did. That's a quote by Mark Nepo, and it's the center of this episode today. I'm here to remind you of your own power and your own access to healing. Because, my friends, reconnecting with who we are, the cosmos, and nature is the key to healing the world. We are in the middle of an eclipse, meaning the eclipse is on actually August 12th, but the energy surrounding the eclipse is building this week and we'll feel it the week following. This particular eclipse is in the sign of Leo, which is all about our pride, our leadership, and how we're seen. This eclipse is also happening next to the South Node, which is a point in the sky that's all about clearing, releasing things. And so it's rather remarkable to have this big, glow up happening right next to a clearing. And it's very powerful for us. What it means is that we can shed identities that no longer serve us, and we have the sky on our side. What it means is that we can step into the roles that we were meant for. We can see them more clearly. The irony of the shadow of an eclipse is that it reveals the light that we were meant for. I talk a lot about shadows and shadow work. Go listen to some of my episodes about that because I talk about what shadows can reveal, specifically in the full moon or the new moon in you, okay? Go listen to it. But for now, I've got some powerful wisdom from some of the greatest minds of our lifetimes to share with you. So, first of all, to just talk more about the eclipse, I can't emphasize enough how much you should download Chani's app and research her stuff because I believe she's one of the wise sages of our time. She's just fantastic. You can watch her videos on YouTube, listen on podcast platforms. It's so helpful. And she describes astrology in this way that when you're born, right? This is where your birth chart comes from and where all the information about your sun, moon, and rising signs, right? Like the big three that kind of make up who you are and your motivation for life. They're kind of stamped when you're born. Think of it kind of like a selfie for your soul a little bit. She talks about a way of thinking of astrology as our connection to the sky. We are taught, especially in American culture, that we are separate, we are distinct. And this is some of the ego portion of this eclipse that maybe needs to fall away. This inflating of just self-importance and dehumanization towards others because we raise ourselves up. These are the kinds of things that we need to clear, and they're the kinds of things that actually separate us from ourselves. Right? The people who are the most egotistical are actually the most miserable because they're disconnected from who they are. Astrology helps us understand that we are connected to the sky. Come on, friends. We always look at the sky, whether it's a sunset, the stars, the sun during an eclipse, the moon. We're drawn to the sky. Perhaps it's because that's where we come from. Perhaps it's because the part of us that is infinite, knows that that's home. Chani describes your birth chart, right? The moment, that snapshot of what was going on with the planets when you were born. She describes it as your choice to work with the energy of the sky when you were born. So it's this idea that we choose where we incarnate, right? And our souls, that part of us that's divine, take a look at the sky. What's going on with these big planetary bodies that we're so drawn to? And it goes, yes, I want to work with that energy. Isn't that remarkable? This is part of what Mark Nepo's quote is about too. Not that he's an astrologer, but it's sort of like how I interpret his quote about us being divinity, right? Us being God. It's not this inflated ego where we rule everything, but it's divinity. It's remembering that we are remarkable, that we have divine power, that we are indeed connected to the sky, and we're meant to use that power, those gifts, to care for each other, to care for the earth, to create. Humans are so often depicted as just pieces of shit. You know what I mean? Like they are the cause of every demise in every movie and every story. And while that's true for some, I think it's harmful to keep pushing those narratives because it makes us think that's all we are, when really we're infinite creators. And so a good way to think about astrology is our connection to the infinite, to these giant planets. Because what's also interesting about perspective is that big things can look small, right? For example, take the moon. The moon can look small to us. You can kind of do like this with your fingers. For those of you who are on audio, I'm making sort of like I'm making like the width of an inch basically between my thumb and my forefinger, right? When you look up at the moon, it almost looks like you could fit it between your thumb and forefinger, like you could put it in your pocket. Yet we know the moon is infinite. It impacts the tides. It's huge, but it looks sort of small to us. It looks like a cute little picture in the sky. Yet it has this infinite power. My friends, this is us. We are the same way. We may look small, but we have infinite power inside us, depending on your perspective. We can move the energy of the world just like the moon when we tap into the part of us that's infinite. This is what we need to save the world. What we need is to connect in new ways. As the loud voices out there are further pushing AI and artificial ways of connecting, it's now more important than ever that we remember the divinity in ourselves, that we remember our ability to connect to the cosmos, to each other. And this is all about energy. Astrology is energy that we work with. So it's important to know what's going on in the sky because we're connected to the sky here on Earth. We can tap into that energy to do our work here on Earth, to create here on Earth, to help each other here on Earth. And it's eclipse season, a time of great change. And because this eclipse is happening in Leo, it's all about our identity, how we express ourselves, our leadership. We need you. We need new leaders who are ready to lead with compassion and bravery and just caretaking. Caretaking needs to stop being seen as a weakness. Nurturing needs to stop being seen as a weakness. It is the greatest kinds of strength to grow something, to take care of something, to nurture something. It's great, great power. And this is the perfect time for you to reflect on that power, to reflect on what role are you ready to shed, because you know what it is. It's been speaking to you. What role are you ready to shed, and what role has been calling you? We need you to step into that role now more than ever. This is what eclipse season means. It means the sky is on our side in terms of trying to accelerate great change, but we need to work with it. We need to be aware of what's going on and connect to that energy. And we can connect to that energy simply by becoming aware of it, reading about it. And Shani makes it really, really easy in her app. There's a lot that you can download for free. She has the dates of eclipses and everything on her website. She breaks things down in her book, You Were Born for This. We have access to this wisdom. I'm also going to link an article written by a local astrologer. She lives near me. Her name's Kathy Gnatic, and she wrote a really helpful article on this eclipse and how it applies to each of our rising signs. And your rising signs it's the sign that was on the horizon the moment that you were born. It kind of determines the layout of your whole chart, so it's extra important. You can find out what your rising sign is but on Shani's website. Like, she literally, even if you don't download her app, which you should, you can just go to the birth chart section of her website and type in the day, time, and location that you were born in and get that information. And so I'm going to link Kathy's article because she specifically lays out how this eclipse might be impacting you. And when you bring your awareness to the energy that the sky is trying to gift you, well, once you're aware of it, then you can start taking some steps towards, okay, what do I do next? Please don't think that this means that you need to have everything figured out. It's not like, oh my God, it's an eclipse. Okay, I got to go do something. No, it's not that. It's simply a matter of bringing your awareness to how this eclipse is impacting your specific energy and listening to yourself. Spend some time just journaling. Open a Google Doc and ask yourself questions. Type out your questions, because here's the way the universe works. It doesn't give us immediate answers all the time. And we have been so conditioned in the American education system to think that there needs to be an immediate answer. And if there's not, then we just don't get one. The universe works through the energy that we're connected to, and it does great things. So when you ask a question, The answers are going to come to you via the path that you're set on. And I know this can feel disappointing because, again, I can relate. I'm a very action-oriented person. I want to do it right now. And, it's frustrating. It feels like we've lost something or we're losing when we can't get an answer right away. But if we can reframe, if we condition ourselves in a different way to be open to connecting to these powerful forces on our journey, well, that leads to a more full life where you wake up every day and instead of needing an exact answer, you connect to what's around you and the gifts that that offers. And I can tell you, when I've started living this way, where it's like I've opened to the energy around me, I've seen beautiful spiritual things, actual spirits in my house appearing in the forms of white wisps that were so thick and obvious. My stepdaughters thought there was smoke in their room. Yet it was this beautiful guardian spirit watching over my family and I. I've opened to seeing how many flying creatures are in the sky. Y'all, I'm a bird watcher now. I never thought I would be because I've been terrified of like seagulls and crows my whole life because they swooped at me when I was young and stole my sandwich, and that's a story for another time. But I've had these amazing encounters with beings, owls, hawks, bald eagles, because I started opening to the energy of the animal world. And part of this is coming through the things that I read, books about reconnecting with nature. There's wonderful, wise folks who put their wisdom out there for us to connect to guide us in this journey. And so when you stop looking for immediate answers of, I have to know what to do right this second, and you just open yourself to the energy of the world, well, nature starts speaking. These birds that I've been watching, the eagles, the owls, the hawks, what they have done is awakened this desire in me to fly, meaning to rise above the obstacles and pain that used to pin me down, and to look at it literally from a bird's eye view of, okay, I can see this now. I can see this pain. I can see this obstacle the way an eagle sees something from the sky. And what can I do now that I see it from this perspective? And a lot of the answers for me have to do with art. Some of them have to do with the books I've written about the things that have pinned me down, which you should go read at lovingcreatively.com. But the other thing that viewing life from this bird's eye view has done is it's encouraged me to try again. I get upset about things just like you do. Sometimes I want to give up about the things that I've been handed that feel really impossible. And I'm talking about things where like I'm trying my best to love people and to care for people when other people just make it nearly impossible because they're impeding me at every turn. Maybe you can relate at work where you're trying so badly to make a peaceful environment, yet people you work with just keep sabotaging it. Well, what the Eagles have taught me is that I have the strength to try again and to build on my own. And it didn't mean that my obstacles went away right away, but what it did is it gave me the courage to go build something over in my corner, to work on building the compassion, the resilience, and the creativity that I already possess, to work on building that so that I can make it while these obstacles are happening. And before I know it, I've built an entire castle. I've built a place where we can live a different kind of life, one that is fueled by compassion and hope. And for me, that looks like my creative stories, right? Building a life of creativity. That's what it is for me. Whatever it is for you, I just want to encourage you that even while you're enduring some bullshit, if you change your perspective, if you start connecting to the beings around you, you will see what you can make. And that's what matters the most. And you will build your own power. Because my hope, especially with this eclipse, is that the folks who live their lives compassionately, creatively, kindly are the ones who are going to create the new world order. And yes, you are an important part of that. You're literally connected to the sky, and it's a map for you. A very simple way to even look at your birth chart. And again, Chani breaks this down, but like look at your chart ruler. Did you know that there's a planet that steers the direction of your life? It's going to be typically Mars, Venus, Mercury, Saturn, the moon, or the sun. I think those are the big six. It's going to be one of those. But did you know that you literally can look to the sun, can look to Mars, can look to Venus like a mentor? All you have to do is look in Chani's app, find out your rising sign and which planet rules that rising sign, because there's someone who's in charge of your rising sign, and then see where that planet is in your chart. See what house it's in, the setting, like what area of life where your planet's in, and see the sign it's in, right? Like Leo, Scorpio, Aries, all that stuff, okay? And that alone, where your ruling planet is, will give you a huge clue about your purpose, because the houses are the areas of life, right? It's like, okay, is your chart ruler, is your planet in the area of life that's about death, the spiritual death, meaning like helping people with transitions through death? Is it in your fifth house of creativity and children? That means you're supposed to live out your life's purpose through working with children and creativity. Is it in your second house of money and resources? Is it important for you to be an entrepreneur, to build wealth, to work with material resources? I mean, even just finding that out alone will give you a big clue about your life's purpose. So I can't emphasize enough that you check out Chani's resources. But with that being said, the points that I'm trying to make is that we need to connect to the world around us, the sky and the animals. And there's lots of books about, rather than seeing as animals as something we consume and dominate, maybe look to them as teachers, because they are living beings that we are sharing this earth with. And any place where you're sharing a resource, and we're literally sharing the earth's resources with animals, any resource that you're sharing, you should be collaborating with those beings rather than just taking and consuming. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to say it again. Any place where you're sharing a resource is also a place where you should be collaborating. We all share the earth with animals, with each other, with nature. The tree outside, you're sharing earth with the tree outside. So connect to these things. A huge help for me, and I'll link it, was this book called Animal Speak, where you can learn to connect with, nature's resources. William Bloom, also great resource for connecting with the spirits of nature. The way that I learned about all this is I brought my attention to it. This is what comes back to this point about attention being a precious resource. What you bring your attention to is what you bring your gifts to. Stop consuming and start creating. You are so much more powerful than you might believe, and we need you. And now, during eclipse season, it's the perfect time to work with this energy, to connect with this energy. It's the perfect time. Now. I'm going to link the resources that I shared in the notes. I'm going to link Chani again, and Kathy, and the Animal Speak book, all of it, okay? But what I really need your help with is sharing this podcast. There's people who need to hear it. So please start engaging with me, because I also need to hear from you. Some of you have, and I'm grateful for that, but I need to hear, what's resonating, what's helping, what do you want more of? But, of course, and as always, thanks for coming.